So if you're a real estate investor and you're currently using QuickBooks right now to track your portfolio, this is for you. So I actually use a different software, a different way of tracking your portfolio's performance that is just better and more cost effective, and we'll get into that. So this is not to trash QuickBooks in any way. I just have found that there are better ways of doing things and that are more streamlined, a little bit quicker, and that are just overall better. And this is the reason that I made the switch over to Xero from QuickBooks for real estate investors. So let's get into it. So the first thing I want to do is go over the pricing because that's what it comes down to, dollars and cents. And we want to make sure that we're making educated decisions. So let me go ahead and minimize myself a little bit. Okay. So you can see a quick comparison chart between the two. So if you're in QuickBooks Online, you would start at simple start 30 a month for only one user. So that's a very, very basic plan. Would be the next grade up. I think some investors, you may be in this plan at 75 a month, plus a 115 a month, and advanced all the way up to 275 a month. That's for probably, larger businesses or medium-sized businesses that are using QuickBooks for their financial tracking. Then they would go to the advanced plan. So for Xero, here's where the cost savings if you make the switch. I don't really go over this much. The early adopters would be at 25 a month, but you only get 20 invoices and 5 bills per month. That's, just not enough, unfortunately. So I usually recommend that every investor that I work with would start in the growing plan. That'd be 55 a month, which gives you unlimited invoices and bills. So it's just better to start out that way because 20 invoices you would meet that within a week or two, like at the most. So yeah, we definitely want to kick that up. The best part about this though is unlimited users. So with Xero for each plan, they have an unlimited users that you can grant access to. So not only your accountant or bookkeeper, but you would also, like if you need your CPA, if you need, you know, whatever user that you're using besides yourself, you can grant them access using Xero, and it's not capped. So with QuickBooks Online, it's different. You can only use so many users depending on the plan. It's like, for example, the Essentials plan, you can only have up to 3. Otherwise, you have to upgrade to the Plus, which is 5, and then the Advanced up to 25. So this is just a quick comparison. So a Xero growing versus a QuickBooks Essentials, again, I'm not sure exactly how many would be in these, just for either for the amount of users or for the features, but just for the essentials at 75 a month, that's $20 a month that's going back in your pocket, or 240 a year. Whenever this, all plans have unlimited users for Xero with QuickBooks, the 275 a month plan, and that even caps out at 25. So technically, it's not unlimited, but it's as close to unlimited as you're going to get with QuickBooks. For property level tracking, use tracking categories instead of classes for your setup, and we'll get into that. Multi-currency is only for this growing, or excuse me, the established user in Xero. You can do multi-currency and project tracking, but you couldn't use that for the growing. That's the only drawback. But if that's not a concern to you, then obviously the growing is perfectly fine compared to 115 a month for multi-currency for QuickBooks Online. So if you need something to track multi-currency gains and losses, for like tax purposes, and or just for your general knowledge, so you can see realized gains and losses on multi-currencies, then that's what you would use. And here's the big one. So, well, 2 big ones. So for 24/7 customer support, all plans get, and Xero get unlimited customer support 24/7, limited hours only for QuickBooks. So if you run into any software issues, they're there for you. And the biggest one is the Trustpilot ranking is pretty stark to look at. So when I was pretty surprised at this. So 1.1 out of 5 for QuickBooks Online. That's pretty bad. So usually from what I've seen, it's usually because of billing and customer support are the two biggest drivers of that. And 4.1 is pretty dang good as far as Trustpilot rating for Xero. So let's get into what exactly you would get using Xero here. So let's get into that. Okay. So for Xero, just real quick, we're not going to go over the early plan. That's just, it's typically not what you would want to start with, again, because of how much they cap the invoices. It just seems like a huge hit. But I guess if you're using less than 20 on a monthly basis, if you only have 1 to 2 properties, then you would use the early. My clients would probably be starting the growing, or they do start in the growing. And that's for the active investor who has 1 to 2 entities. So you get unlimited invoices and bills and bank reconciliation. You also get auto reconciliation access, which you can choose to use if you want. I personally don't do that because I just like to reconcile things on my own. Like I don't know if it's a control thing or not, but I need to be able to see that myself and reconcile it myself. I just like to have control over that, but that it's there for those who want it. Inventory management, customizable dashboards. So we went over this, no multi-currency, and no projects. So my foundation and operator clients and those tiers would be in the growing, and the more established investors. So my portfolio level clients, those are the ones that would need the $90 a month plan, probably, if they're using that, just because of all the features that you get. And like if you're doing projects, if you're doing, different currencies, then you would want to be on the established plan. Plus you get some advanced in. So that's pretty cool. So let's get into Xero. So this is Xero. This is the dashboard, and it's just very clean. It's easy to read. It's nice to look at. You have your bank account. This is the demo account. So, I didn't want to use anybody's actual account statistics, including my own. So we use the demo account, but this is the dashboard. And these are the widgets that are on the dashboard. And yeah, if you need to create an invoice, you come up here, create a bill, you would use that. You need to change the settings, and I'll get into this in another video, but this is how I would go in and set up the tracking for a new client. We would go ahead and set up your tracking categories. You can have up to 2 main categories, and that's all you really need, because you're mainly doing it per property, but you're also doing it if you have multiple entities. You would want to go ahead and track it that way. So you really only need up to 2, but you can have up to 100 subcategories. So those are the ones that you would enter each property address. So that way it's tracked per property, and you could do side-by-side comparisons on your P&L. I'll show that to you now. So this is what a P&L would look like in Xero. Maximize that. Okay, so this is a sample, but it's a side-by-side comparison using different strategies. And you have this is the flip that I hard coded in there, and the different acquisition costs, your COGS or cost of goods sold, how much it costs to dispose of property, and your operating expenses, your net NOI or net profit is right there. Short-term rental, that's where you would have rental income, obviously, going into that, either short-term or long-term. And yeah, so, and then you have a BRRRR portfolio strategy. Yeah, so this is what the P&L will look like. It's just very clean. It's just nicer to look at. and it gives you the information that you need, and it's just right there in front of you. Very nice. Okay. Now, make myself a little bigger. So if you're looking for a change, if you are just tired of this doing the same old thing, because honestly, I know, I recognize that change is difficult, and I explain this to my clients that there really is no reason to hesitate to make a change if the change is for the better. Like if there's just a better way to do things, then delaying it is just not a good choice. It's just a bad choice. And there's a couple things in QuickBooks that you would want to keep in mind. So, and that, is not available in Xero. So first one is, the accounting network, obviously, because Intuit and QuickBooks have cornered the market in the United States for many years. They have an established network of accountants that you can look to within QuickBooks that are registered as QuickBooks advisors, pro advisors. So that's one thing. The other thing is, like, if you do have payroll, right, for your investments, like if it's a big project and you have to pay your people, pay your team, or if you're a company that has some employees and you pay them like a paycheck, like a W-2 payroll, then you would probably want to use QuickBooks for that, only because you have to use a third-party integration for Xero in order to do that. But those are rare cases, and even so, there's still an option called Gusto that Xero uses for payroll. And it's not to say that they won't add payroll as an option in the future. It's just right now it's not done, using the same software. You would have to use a third party in order to do your payroll. But again, for real estate investors, it's just a better software for it. It's faster, it's cleaner to look at, and it's just the way to go for real estate investors, in my opinion. So if you are curious yourself on how this would help you in your portfolio, go ahead and book a free discovery call on my website. That's at laneledgercompany.com. The link is in the description of the video. So check out my website and see what I have to offer. If you would like to go ahead and book that call, I would love that, because I would get to meet you and I would get to go over how this is going to help you, because this can only help. This can only give you better options. So anyways, that is all for today. I'll see you next time. We'll go over how to set up tracking categories in Xero for tracking on a property level basis. Until next time, have a good day.